So, the much sought after Goldeneye Remastered was leaked to the internet recently. You might have heard about it. I totally haven't downloaded it, I totally haven't played it, and you're totally not going to see me play it right now, honest gov. What's weird is I'd planned on streaming a playthrough of Goldeneye 64 on my Twitch channel, and then a week later this is leaked. Which is weird. Now, this isn't going to be like my other content on here, it's not really a review. After all, it's only a remaster and not an out-and-out remake. No, I just want to look at this little bit of gaming history that, unfortunately, never saw an official release and most likely was doomed from the start. First things first, the game seems to be largely unchanged gameplay-wise and the modern control setup works perfectly. I can't believe I used to play with the original control scheme. I just can't do it anymore, and I always end up switching to the Turok controls if I'm playing the N64 version, and even then I struggle, although that could be due to my controller, which is ancient. I mean, it is the classic Goldeneye pad. Now, I know what most of you are interested in. How do the new textures look? Well, here you go. They look really bloody good. It's the same as the Perfect Dark remaster really, new HD textures replacing not only the character models but the environments as well. But there's also some new models put in place as well, such as these snow-covered trees during the dam stage, as well as much better looking mountains surrounding the map. And you can still see that island off in the distance. Everything looks so bloody crisp and the new textures add so much detail and help bring these maps to life once more. It's honestly worth a playthrough even just to see how great these old levels look. But if you're a purist and prefer the original textures and graphics, then you can just press the right bumper to switch them back. It's just like the Halo remaster / remake. Wait, was that a remake? Was that a remake? Was it a remake? Is it both? Whatever. It's pretty cool, honestly, and allows you to compare the new and old graphics. It's amazing, isn't it? These were cutting-edge graphics at one point. But more importantly for me, the draw distance and frame rate have been vastly improved. But what's even better is that if you switch the graphics, you've basically got the N64 version with superior frames per second. What's not to like? Yes, I know, stop writing. I know the N64 version emulated can run with zero slowdown and a superior frame rate, but this is an easy alternative. Well, for me, honestly, so just shut up, no one cares.
Stop writing!
Honestly, replaying all of these stages again was wonderfully nostalgic, bringing back memories from my childhood where a friend and I would sit down and attempt to beat all of these stages again on 00 Agent difficulty, unlocking all of the cheats, additional characters and multiplayer maps, and more importantly, the seemingly mythic extra campaign stages. Getting back to the difficulty is still bloody tough though, and I honestly still don't know how I managed to complete some of these stages on 00 Agent difficulty. Was the street stage on 00 difficulty always this tough? I just couldn't stop dying whether I was in the tank or not. But with this new remaster, I have got a renewed urge to finish all of the stages on 00 Agent difficulty, and with the Xbox 360 controller, I reckon it'll be a smidgen more tolerable. And you know what? Yeah, this is still exhilarating to play. On the higher difficulties, I found myself trying to make every shot count, ducking out of cover, sprinting towards cover whilst firing. This still absolutely holds up, and bar a few irritating stages such as the Bunker 2, Streets, and the infamous Control stage, the latter of which contains one of the most stressful set pieces in any game I've ever experienced, protecting Natalia from dozens of goons. There, right there. I can hear it. I can hear and feel your pain. You are not alone. But those moments are outweighed by great stages such as the train, the frigate, the silo, and the legendary facility level. And despite the difficulty, I still had an absolute blast. I recorded all of this footage during my lunch breaks and just couldn't wait to move on to the next stage. It's cracking stuff. The game absolutely stands the test of time, and honestly, I was surprised as to how good Goldeneye still is. It was an absolute breath of fresh air in the FPS genre, in terms of consoles anyway. This is still one of the best licensed games of all time, and better still, it would go on to spawn not only Perfect Dark, which is another classic for the N64, but also the Time Splitters trilogy as well, which is arguably one of the most popular and well-remembered and loved shooters of that generation, particularly on the PlayStation 2. I'll probably look at that series at some point purely as a great excuse to replay all the games, but while the first game has aged poorly, in its defense it was a borderline launch title, both Time Splitters 2 and Future Perfect are fantastic games that feel like great evolutions of that Goldeneye formula. And speaking of the formula, it was so refreshing to have a health bar. Not only that, but if you fail just one singular objective, that is it. You can't complete the stage. It's done. Over. Sure, you can carry on and slaughter everyone in your path, but once you reach the end, you'll be informed that the mission was a failure and you've got to do it all over again. No checkpoints, no autosaves, nothing. It can be very cruel for sure, and I'm certain the fact it wasn't an instant end when an objective was failed was so the player could practice with the rest of the level and figure out how to complete the other mission goals. And trust me, on the higher difficulty, you're gonna need to do this. Why? Well, if somehow you don't know, the difficulty doesn't just raise the amount of damage you take, the enemy accuracy and how much hits they take. No. The higher difficulties actually add additional objectives. It's such a wonderful way to add quality replay value to a game, and I really wish more games would do something similar. Give us a reason to play on the hardest difficulty and not just for trophies and achievements. I know the recent Resident Evil 3 remake had a mixed reception from the fan base, but I have to commend the inclusion of the Nightmare and Inferno difficulties. These altered enemy placement, items, and weapons. It was almost like playing it brand new all over again. I need more of this. But let's not kid ourselves. Like I said, this is really damn tough, and probably led to quite a few broken controllers. Mostly with some of the enemy placements, the amount of enemies, and some of the boss characters. Like Xenia here. Xenia? Xena? It's not Xena. It's not Xenia. It's not that. That's the warrior princess. Xenia. I'm just gonna go with Xenia. I'd forgotten how difficult she was. Look, she's dual wielding a P90 and a fucking grenade launcher. Solid Snake couldn't pull that off. There were a few hiccups when I played it, but this could be my XBLA emulator needing to be tinkered with. Either that or the version I downloaded was a bit unstable. One of the biggest problems I ran into was the first surface mission, where some of the huts were bugged, and by that I mean the doors wouldn't open, and then every time I looked at said bugged huts, the screen would just go black until I paused the game. It happened every time I even looked in the hut's direction. Really odd. But I can't complain. The fact I was able to play it at all is incredible. And what? There's no music. You telling me there's no pause menu music? That pause menu music isn't in the game? Oh, fuck this. 0 out of 10. It's everything I ever wanted from the remaster, and it saddens me that we never saw an official release on the Xbox Live Arcade. It is such a bloody shame. So I was wondering exactly what the issues were, so I did a little digging online and, well, honestly, you'd think that this would have been an absolute minefield of licensing issues. But no, it seems that everyone was on board and happy with things. That was until a certain top executive at Nintendo put the kibosh on the whole project. When speaking to Ars Technica, former developer Mark Edmonds said, "Everyone had approved. The team continued to work, believing that the rights had cleared and there were no strings attached to the remaster of the Nintendo 64 title. However, just as the game was about to go gold, it was cancelled due to an unknown high-up Nintendo executive." In the same interview, Edmund's fellow developer Russ Berry went into slightly more detail. When it was put to Nintendo, everyone there approved it, except they didn't check with the one guy who mattered. I believe I was told his response went along the lines of, "There is no way a Nintendo game is coming out on a Microsoft console." Now, if that's true, then that's rather petty and kind of pathetic actually, and slightly head-scratching since the Banjo-Kazooie Remaster would go on to be released on the Xbox Live Arcade the following year, not to mention the Perfect Dark Remaster. Honestly, I initially assumed it was down to the multitude of rights issues, but no, in reality, it boiled down to Nintendo pulling a Nintendo. Look, the game was basically finished. All of the levels are here, you can unlock the cheats, and it had online multiplayer. This likely would have sold like hotcakes amongst my age demographic alone. In terms of unfinished or unreleased games, the holy grail for me at one point was what is now commonly known as Resident Evil 1.5, but thanks to modders and some particularly skilled folk, the dream of playing Resident Evil 1.5 seems ever closer. But when I heard about a potential Goldeneye 64 remaster, I was desperate to play it. Thanks to the wonders of the internet, these projects always seem to surface multiple years down the line, and it allows us to play an, albeit unfinished version of these games, and we're left then to ponder what could have been. So, remember, don't find this online. don't download it, and definitely don't use this as a perfect opportunity to revisit one of the best games from the N64, as you once again sneak around the halls of the facility, rescue hostages aboard the frigate, smash your controller to pieces because of Bunker 2, and push Sean Bean to one of his many, many deaths.
Hello, yes, Danhausen here. Danhausen with a special message telling you to subscribe it is a YouTube/Twitch channel. Very nice, very evil. Lost in the Warpipe. Danhausen is, here to tell you it's very nice, very evil. What more do you want from Danhausen? Anyways, listen to this, subscribe, like, whatever, comment may be nice to do. Love that, Danhausen. Thank you very much. Yes, or you'll rue the day.
But until next time, stay safe, and I'll catch you later. You know, come to think about it, I've never actually played the GoldenEye remake. Maybe I should change that.